I'm from a family of apple growers. I'm a sixth-generation apple grower, and so I'm very committed to changing the narrative. Everyone before me were very conventional growers, so I'm ready to do something different.
Hello, my name is Ria Windcaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world. Bringing us into episode 451 of Cider Chat was Amy Miller. Now, before I tell you about the actual reason why she was doing that, let me just situate you with who Amy Miller is. And it actually goes back to a previous episode on Cider Chat when we heard about her mother, Donna Miller. And that was with Chris and Matt of Bent Ladder Estate Ciders and Wine, which is based in Ohio, the state of Ohio. And they had mentioned in that episode, which is episode number 392, that they had in their orchard Malus sieversii. Now that is different than Malus domestica, which is what most of us have in our backyard or our orchard. Those are what you could kind of go with the name, domesticated kind of apples, if you will. And Malus sieversii is like the OG of all the apple strains, I suppose. This family of apples originates from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, a region in the world where there are wild apple forests. And in that episode 392, I do have a link in the show notes, you could hear Matt and Chris talking about Donna and how she took a trip to the wild apple forest and brought back Scion. And they're growing that at Bent Ladder. And you know, this is how the world of cider and apples all converge into one. We are a global community, and then out of nowhere, you could meet the connection everywhere. So it turns out Amy is Donna's daughter, and it was Amy and her brother that accompanied Donna Miller, who currently works at Ohio State University. She's in the Department of Horticulture and Crop Science. So she took a trip there, brought back Scionwood. They have it growing at Bent Ladder, so I really want to recommend that cidery and winery because it's an experience. It's much like the Heman Cellars experience over the border up in Canada, in London, Ontario, in that there's the Ripman Orchard, which is a farm store, and then they have the actual tasting room, which is separate. So it's a full-on immersive experience in farm life and all the great value-added products that you get from it that you and I, consumers out and about in Ciderville, can stop by and experience. You get pies at Ripman's Orchard, you get apples, you go to the cidery and have a tasting. Yeah, so that's a little bit of how I just get blown away every time I am in the world of cider and apples because we're all interconnected. And to get to meet Amy, she was so well-spoken and one of a little over 40 people who attended the Berkshire Roundtable. It took place earlier in March of 2025. I think it's the 35th or 36th year that this has taken place. And it's essentially a big old circle of people talking about apples and pears and other fruits, but, you know, a pretty big emphasis on apples and how to do that as best as possible. And I was invited to the Berkshire Roundtable by Mike Biltonen, who I mentioned recently about his newsletter that you want to sign up for via his Know Your Roots consulting business. Again, links in the show notes. And I did have Mike on the podcast too. I actually recorded with him when I was at the Berkshire Roundtable in 2024. So again, this is much what this episode is all about. We said goodbye to season 9 in the episode that aired last week, episode 450, with Roger Wilkins, who is a Somerset cider maker. That's an experience. You definitely want to check out that episode. And Roger's going to be on the upcoming Totally Cider tour to the UK later this year. And I wanted to kick off season 10, well, for a lot of different reasons. But one is, I think it's really, really cool to hear hellos from a wide range of people in the cider community. It's just a perfect fit for what I consider a milestone episode. I mean, season 10 means, well, Cider Chat's been on the air since 2015. So we're looking at 10 years of Cider Chat, an audio history of the world of cider and apples from the world, the absolute world of cider. And here at Cider Chat Central, we're really hoping that the season opener acts as a reminder that there is a wealth of knowledge at hand at a grassroots level in every region, in this case in the US of A, primarily because there was no international visitors there. But of course, this really holds true for the entire scene of cider worldwide. There is a wealth of information. And it's my belief that in wisdom lies hope. Hope for sustaining orchard ecosystems, hope that information can be passed on and history can be preserved, and through, most importantly, shared learning and collaboration like the Berkshire Roundtable, we can all create a better world. And I think that's really timely right now in March of 2025, particularly for my fellow residents of the US of A, to know that, there's a lot of people out there that all have your shared common goals and interests, and that you are all stewarding this earth, or I should say we are all stewarding this earth. And most importantly, that shared purpose that we all have, that this episode provides you as a reminder, and most importantly, as a source of hope and resilience, even when the path ahead feels uncertain. Thus, why this week's episode 451 is called Hello, Season 10, and the Berkshire Roundtable. I was just absolutely amazed as I was just sitting in that room, hearing the introductions, just hearing that wealth of information. So there you go. That's what we're going to be featuring this week. We're also going to be hearing from Gracie and Nancy Phillips. That is, well, they are related to Michael Phillips. Nancy was married to Michael Phillips, and Gracie is both Nancy and Michael's daughter. They're based up in northern New Hampshire at Lost Nation Orchard. I love that name, Lost Nation Orchard. It's kind of a place you want to go to, kind of like tucked away. It's about 40 miles south of Canada. And they are continuing on with the spirit of Michael Phillips, his teachings. He is a really amazing author of many books, the well-known Holistic Orchard Care book, and a number of books. He even co-wrote a book with his wife, Nancy. She'll mention that. And they are going to be offering different workshops. So at the end of the hellos and introductions with this episode, you're going to be hearing about current orchard care workshops you could get involved in, and also an upcoming one for June of 2025. And don't worry about having to write any of this down. You could just go to the show notes at ciderchat.com and see it listed there. Just go to episode 451 for season 10. Before we head to our featured presentation for this year, episode 451 of Cider Chat, I just want to thank everybody out there in Ciderville who is being an active bystander. And that's in terms of cider, that you're not just trolling the internet and consuming information, you're actually engaging. And that could be as simple as doing a heart for somebody's Instagram account. Even if you're not really engaged with them, they're not your bestie, but you just hit a heart. And, sometimes I just open up Instagram and I just go heart, 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 heart all the way down. I'm just streaming through it, heart, heart, heart. Because, look, the algorithm, that's how it works. And also, it makes people's day. Folks work really hard to set up a video or take that photo. They're spending time to really spotlight cider in a way that maybe you don't have time to do that, and yet you're loving it and sharing it along. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for all the cross promotion that people are doing for Cider Chat, sharing the love there. A big tip of the glass goes out to Adrian Luna. You can follow him on Instagram at Hard Cider Guy. He also does some work with the New York Cider Association. He's a real powerhouse of an individual. He's also a fellow martial artist, so I really dig that. But most importantly, he's been going back into the backlog of Cider Chat And while he's working out in the gym, he takes a photo from his phone, I guess, of whatever episode it is, and then shares it out to the world. He doesn't have to do that, but he's doing that because that's how we keep Cider in the news. That's how we stay engaged. And I think that's kind of like what the theme of season 10 is going to be all about, is stay engaged. Stretch out of your comfort zone and share the wealth. If we don't do it, those of us who are listening right now, who are really involved, if we aren't doing that, who's going to do that for us? And if you truly love cider and you're expecting some hero to come in and save the day and keep it in the news, nobody's going to do that. I mean, seriously, look, I always wanted to be Mighty Mouse, but it's kind of a fictional character, right? It's just not going to happen. Another person I want to shout out to is MJ, who is on Instagram at Get On The Ciders. MJ is also a certified cider professional and recently wrote to me while I was talking about, where you're listening to Cider Chat right now, and told me that you listen to it while you are driving, which, is like one of my favorite places to listen to podcasts. So thank you for doing that, MJ. If you want to follow MJ too, also on Instagram, follow at Cider Infusion, because MJ makes small, limited batches and is based in Australia. And I just want to have us connected because together we're much stronger than alone. So big tip of the glass for that. And also big tip of the glass to Tom Oliver, who hit the donate button once again for Cider Chat. He's done this each and every year that we hit a new season. And thanks, Tom. Thanks for doing that. He basically throws in $1 for every single episode that's been on live. And I'll tell you, that really helps this podcast keep on kicking out. And this guy doesn't have to do it. He's based in the United Kingdom. And I'm based on the other side of the ocean. Yet, Tom, once again, you show not only me, but really the entire world of cider, what it means to represent this category and how to stay involved. Certainly your donation does that, but also your engagement, the way you do that on social media, and that you provide such a wealth of information. There's a reason why people always mention Tom Oliver that way. He gives his time. So this is a shout out to everybody to, well, as always, be like Tom and get engaged and share your time, hit those heart buttons, and send a little note to somebody. Make somebody's day, because right now we all need that. It's the spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is coming on the winter in the South. So we got a lot going on globally all the time, and we always need a little bit of encouragement from each other, which is, again, what this episode is all about. So when I come back, we're going to be rolling to our featured presentation.
Walking through the orchard.
All right, Ciderville, it's time to get your glass and get ready for this featured presentation. Once again, these are introductions from the Berkshire Roundtable. It took place in early March of 2025 this year, and it just starts with folks going around and saying hello, their name, and stating a little bit about themselves. And then at the very end, you're going to hear them kind of volleying about the agenda, the topics that are going to be discussed during the day and a half time that they have together. For instance, one of the topics was apple pretzels, which we recently talked about on Cider Chat. I think it was 2 episodes ago. That would have been episode 449. And then you get to put a vote for your favorite topics. So they're kind of volleying at the end. I thought it would be fun to throw that in too, to just get you a sense of what the Berkshire Roundtable is about. And truthfully, I don't know if it could grow any bigger, because it is what it is. So it's this special event that takes place all these years later, right? But it does provide a model for you. Let's say you're like MJ in Australia, setting up your own roundtable. And of course, the Holistic Orchard Network that has taken on the responsibility of putting this event on each year, I'm sure they'd be very interested in having you join too. So there are links in the show notes to the Holistic Orchard Network and all the folks that we've been mentioning and talking about on this here episode 451. Now, before we go right into the introductions, let me clarify something and help your ears get tuned to this type of recording, which is really live. It's very authentic. Cider Chat recorders passed around the room, and the first person speaking, his name is Alan Supernaut. That should be familiar because he was on episode 312 of Cider Chat, and it was titled Angels Dress Like Bears. He was a good friend of Michael Phillips, and that episode, Angels Dress Like Bears, was in reference to Michael. So it was a tribute to him. And what he is saying here, as you will immediately be hearing, is that he has Brook Farm Orchard. That is a Massachusetts-based orchard in Western Mass. They get to harvest about 400 bushels of apples per year. And he took on another partner about 5 years ago, and their name is Hannah Martin, and he mentions that they can climb the trees, which is pretty cool. So that just gives you a little flavor of what we're doing here, and I just want to say, really enjoy it. I just loved it. I hope you do too. And I would love to hear if you do. So do send me a note what you think about this, because I really dig knowing what people do for a living, especially when it's in the world of cider and orchard care. Making this a very fine time now to grab a glass and enjoy these introductions from the Berkshire Roundtable and hosted by the Holistic Orchard Network.
Alan Supernaut, Brook Farm Orchard, about 400 bushels a year. 5 years ago, I took on a partner half my age, and she's wonderful. She grew up on a dairy farm. She climbs trees.
I'm Liz. I am in Maine, in Midcoast, Maine right now. Formerly worked for Mockbed and Heritage Orchard. I've been working in orchards since I was a teenager. Currently doing Maine fruit buds pruning with Laura Seeger. That's it.
I'm Laura Cider of the Midcoast, Maine, and I, since leaving hospital a couple of years ago, have my hands in like a lot of different projects. I've worked with Seth, I've worked with John, Liz and I do our fruit tree pruning with Maine fruit buds, and working in this like little hobby orchard that has mostly peaches and Asian pears. Definitely interested in talking about stone fruits.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Marcelina. And other projects, but I work for FedCo. If you need Scion, let us know. But like now.
My name is Bleeker Wheeler. I'm one of the wheelers in Watson Wheeler Cider, which is a relatively new cider company from Shaftesbury, Vermont. Not to be confused with Shaftesbury, Vermont.
Right.
Sorry, I get it all the time, but just so I don't have to do that 100 more times while I'm here. It's just over the border near Bennington, southwest Vermont. We are growing orchards. We have a nursery. We're kind of doing everything backwards, I like to tell people, because we started the cider business first. So we do a lot of foraging. I'm looking forward to sharing some ciders with you later. And I'm here to soak in as much knowledge as I can from all of you guys, and I'm really humbled to be here. Thank you.
I'm Gracie Phillips. I manage Hartsong Farm and Lost Nation Orchard with my mom, Nancy. My dad is Michael Phillips, who came to this gathering, I think probably all of them, and was one of the highlights of his year. So I'm really grateful and also humbled to be here and really excited to learn from everyone. We look after my dad's trees that he planted on the farm, and our focus right now is maintaining the trees and remaining a community source of good apples and cider, and starting to do a lot more educational programs on the farm about holistic orcharding and trying to be a hands-on place where people can come and learn. And some awesome people here have come and taught and will be returning, so thank you to all of them.
I'm Linda Hoffman, and I'm from Hartford, Massachusetts, where I operate Old Frog Pond Farm. So we have an organic orchard, been certified since 2006. It's all pick your own, and it's it's a magical place with lots of art and poetry and meditation and African drumming, and so that like fills out the whole apple picking and bringing people. And I've learned so much from coming to this group, like since, I don't know, maybe 2005 or something. So really grateful to be here.
And a book.
And a book. I did write a book. The Artist in the Orchard came out in 2001, and I have another book coming out this summer. Overheard in the Orchard. It's a book that is told with the voice of one golden delicious tree in the orchard. So maybe next year you'll see that.
Sounds exciting. Well, I'm Nancy Phillips. I'm really happy to be here. This was always Michael's get away from me time of year. He comes down to his house with his good buddies, so it's great to hang out with you and meet old friends and new friends. And as Gracie mentioned, we're carrying on at Heartsong Farm and Lost Nation Orchard, and we offer holistic education, and we consider that for people, plants, and the planet, and do a lot of workshops. And it's also a working farm. We do the apples and medicinal herbs. And just going to put in a plug that we still have room in our Holistic Orchard Apprenticeship Program that's going to start next Friday, a week from today.
But so, can be joined later.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested, it goes for 8 months, and we have expert orchardists come each month, and we have a curriculum that people that join the apprenticeship program get Michael's books, and then we give homework from them, and also some videos come out each month, and then we get the hands-on learning with the teachers that come. And last year we had great teachers, and we have great teachers coming back this year too, and quite a few in here. So, but just throwing that out there if you know anybody. So we meet one Friday a month, and it's an awesome program. Gracie and I learned a lot. One of the things that was most inspiring was just all the passion for each orchardist that came with their own little niche. You know, they each had different things that they love most, and it was very inspiring and uplifting. So happy to be here and look forward to meeting all of you.
I'm John Bunker from Maine, and a couple of things. I'm very involved in DNA profiling, so if you're interested in that subject and we don't talk about it today or tomorrow, come find me at a meal and I can help you think about it. If you're interested in being involved, it's a really incredible tool for identifying cultivars and also ancestry. I'm also fairly connected with a number of people in the USDA, and so if we have a chance, I can tell you a little bit about what I know about what's going on there now. And if not, if you corral me sometime, I can tell you. I'm also involved, and I talked about this a little bit this morning, in a national and eventually international collaborative shared database of cultivars. That is a project that I'm helping to work on. Also, I brought 2 books. I brought a few copies of my book that are up there on the center table. It's $30. And I brought Sean Turley's new book, Practical Pomology. And a bunch of you know about that. It's got a bunch of William Mullins photographs in it, and it's take a look at it. And they're $45, and if you're interested in buying one, pay me, and if you write a check, write it to Sean Turley. But if you're interested in either book, just let me know.
Mike Bilton, Trumansburg, New York, Finger Lakes area just outside of Ithaca. I think in addition to the role that I played with the Holistic Orchard Network, I also co-own Know Your Roots, which is a company that I co-own with my wife Debbie. I do orchard consulting around the Northeast, principally in New York, New Jersey, although I do remote consulting with folks across the United States as well. And I have my orchard, which is about 150 varieties strong at this point. And as I like to describe it, it is an orchard that's designed to fail. And what I mean by that is, like, I want to use it as a testing ground for all the wacky ideas that we come up with. And if they don't work at my orchard, at least it's my trees that suffer, and we can figure out ways to make it work. We need more orchards designed to fail, I think, on some level anyway.
My name's Aaron Berkshire. I started the orchard sort of conventional, but it's been sober now for 15 years. But this year I want to do tree cakes. I like that no spray is on the Also, today's the 1 year anniversary of open heart surgery.
Woo!
Hi, my name is Violet Michelke, and I have a small orchard in Sullivan County in Neverson. And started growing about 7 years ago and producing some small batch ciders. Was fortunate enough to meet Andy about a month ago, and I'm really happy to be here, happy because you told me about it. I can't wait to meet a lot of you and talk to you and apples.
My name is Nico Rubin. I run a small nursery in Plainfield, Vermont, outside Montpelier, growing trees and berry plants. I did bring a few catalogs over on the corner there if you want to check it out. I do a lot of work with very small home orchards, pruning, talking about the trees. Excited to be here.
My name's Lee Vandewiller. I make cider with Pierpont Cider in the North Country, New York North Country, St. Lawrence Valley. That's my first time here. I'm excited to be here. I've been encouraged to come for a few years by my friends Connor and Alyssa Hardman who are at St. Lawrence Nurseries, who unfortunately none of them are here, so I'm the sole representative for St. Lawrence Valley. But glad to be here.
Welcome.
It's exciting to be sitting next to Bill McKinley's representative. I'm Steve Sealer. I live in Ithaca, New York. I have South Hill Cider. It's really exciting to see this. I mean, how many hundreds of years of apple growing knowledge is in here in person is mind-blowing. I guess my apple journey started, I was foraging apples for about 10 years, made a couple thousand gallons exclusively from foraged apples, and then transitioned into being a commercial cidery. We still forage apples, and in 2017 we started planting a few dozen grafts of wild apples, and they're starting to produce. And so it's really exciting to see that a lot more people are interested in these kinds of things, because I feel like back 7 years ago it was a very fringe concept, and now it's amazing. And that I really feel more than ever that the future of our cider orchards are these apples that we're all finding and experimenting with. And it's like incredible, because when I planted my orchard, I started planting in 2006, but commercially in 2012. The only real great cider apples I had available to me were these European cultivars, which I knew tasted great because I could buy them from Cornell. But now, like, just in this room alone, we probably have orchards growing the cider apples that the next generation are going to just be like at home with. And so it's a super exciting time to be here.
I'm Greg Vance. I am from Jericho, Vermont, and I would call myself a web tech marketer type person that gets things done. I've been involved in agriculture with the early days of NOFA before they became part of the National Organic Standards. I've always had a love for agriculture, and I met up with Todd Parlow, one of my clients, and got hooked into this group, starting on the early transition from Michael's website into the one that we have now. But that kind of hit a couple hurdles, and then Mike reached out and we connected, and here I am today. I'm kind of here listening, see what I can do to help, putting out ideas, and happy to talk with anybody. I have my own projects that I keep doing on the side, so if you want to talk about things, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I'm here to listen and help in any way I can.
My name's Greg Georgiaklis. I live in Cabot, Vermont. Started planting a cider orchard about 4 years ago after a 30-year career in horticulture, ornamental horticulture. Then I moved up to Vermont about 20 years ago to get back into food farming. Got distracted for 20 years, founded Farmers to You, have just semi-retired from that, and I needed something to keep me busy. And I love apples, and I love cider. We started an informal group. We call ourselves the Feral Cider Society. And I've decided to go pro, which has no bearing whatsoever on my skill level, but just merely that I need to make a living doing it.
I'm Seth Yentis from Monroe, Maine. Have North Branch Farm. Grow a lot of trees in our nursery that we wholesale to Fedco trees, and have about a 5-acre orchard, mostly apples and pears, but also some peaches and plums, mostly for home use. And I work a little bit at Fedco trees as well. I'm definitely interested in a lot of those topics, but fire blight is one that's on my mind, and Marcinina as well. And as far as probably not full conversation topics, but something I'm really interested in working on our farm, and if anybody wants to find me at a meal or something, is talking about growing rootstock, both stool bedding and seedling rootstock. And so if anybody has been doing that on a small commercial scale is what I'm looking to do, but I've been trying some different things and looking to expand that at our farm.
I'm Ian Mansfield. I'm the head cider maker at Eden Specialty Ciders up in Newport, Vermont. Most of my background is actually organic vegetable and cut flowers. However, this year I'll hit my decade as a winemaker, cider maker.
I'm Lydia Pendergast. I am the orchardist and assistant cider maker at Eden Ciders. My background is interning at the Maine Heritage Orchard in Maine.
I'm Jason Maka, Ithaca, New York, and I'm part of the Know Your Roots team with Mike and Kat.
Brittany Corda, Cordic Family Farm. I've been coming up here for a few years. You guys haven't come up with a Carolina Roundtable yet. My mom and I have 18 acres of heirloom apples, concentration on cider types, regional varieties. She planted the orchard in 2009, intending to make it a hard cidery, and have gone through many, many incarnations since then. Currently, we're trying to be more just selling wholesale to other cider makers.
My name is Chris Negranada. My wife and I own Perry City Orchard and Nursery in, Perry City, technically Trumansburg, New York, Finger Lakes. Been doing it for about 10 years. We have a fruit tree nursery, mainly apples, and I guess to kind of tag on to what Steve was saying, we started out mostly propagating, heirloom varieties, European cider apples, but we are more and more trying to get into wild seedling varieties and propagating them, and just also testing them out in our orchard, see how they perform. Most of what we have right now is stuff that was sourced in the Finger Lakes, but we do have stuff from other spots in the Northeast as well. And I kind of agree. I think it's definitely an avenue I'm certainly really interested in exploring more. I think there's a lot of potential. We also, aside from the nursery, we have an orchard, kind of a cider and budwood orchard, and then we also do different vegetable crops and grow figs in the high tunnels. If anyone wants to know about growing fig high tunnel in zone 5B, let me know. I'll talk to you about it. I also am the cider maker at Black Diamond Farm in Trumansburg. I've been there for about 15 years, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth, working with Ian Merwin on with heirloom and cider varieties, and learned a lot there over the years. One topic I'm interested in doesn't necessarily have to go on that board, but if anyone else is interested in talking about this, we had a freeze this last April. We're down in a frost pocket, and it got down to about 18 degrees when the early varieties were at like full pink. And we definitely lost most of our golden russet and redfield, but one thing I noticed is a bunch of the crabs, not chestnut, it's not a real crab, but like a bunch of the crabs were like at probably the furthest along of anything, fully, pink, spread open, and they seem untouched by the 18 degrees. So I'm really curious about like crab genetics and, both just, getting more crabs in general into our orchard, but also like the possibility of trying to use crab for breeding as well. Because it seems like there's something in there that is making them more resistant to freezes. And then to go off topic for 1 second, just, yeah, this last month has been pretty rough watching what's going on around us in this country, and I'm just felt especially important to be here this year and share this circle with people, so just very happy to be here.
I'm Hannah. I run Westland Orchard with my partner Fabio, who could not be here because he's on vacation. And a very clear I am here. We're a farm orchard. We make cider, and if that was enough, we also have a restaurant on the property to supplement the orchard and the farming.
Kevin Clark from Roseville Farm in Red Hook, New York, and apples and stone fruit. Mostly pick your own, and then fermentation. And I love that crab apple topic.
Brian Caldwell, and Kat, I was going to say that maybe after we finish this round, I can't really read that, so maybe we can just read them off so that we know. But I have a small farm south of Ithaca. I'm kind of rabbit organic. We've been certified since 1986. And I'm down to about 3/4 of an acre of apples now, but increasing chestnuts and hazelnuts and minor fruits. We have about 13 acres now inside of deer fence, so I'm real excited to get that all ramped up with mostly with chestnuts these days. And what else was I going to say? I'm so glad to see a lot of young people here, a lot of new friends and old friends, and for people who are newer friends of mine, please forgive me if I forget your name, because I'm getting a little slippage up there these days. But anyways, really glad to see everybody here.
Hi, I'm Jeff Silcox with Farming Falmouth. We're out on Cape Cod. And Farming Falmouth is a fairly new organization that's been around since 2019, and the goal is to strengthen the local food network, more fresh food, more local food, more grown here. And one of the initiatives is we planted an orchard in 2021, so I manage that. We have 8 varieties of apples, all well-known dessert grades. Last year we had our first harvest, which was pretty exciting because we got to have the public come into the orchard and share the apples, and everybody was pretty jazzed to be eating them. And the Cape has very few orchards. There's, I think, one other orchard that I'm aware of. So the demand is big, and we've actually decided we're going to triple the size of the orchard here over the next couple of years.
Hi everyone, I'm William McCaffrey. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from East Taunton, Massachusetts. This is literally the closest person I've ever met in this circle. Maybe we can carpool next time. Yeah, so I'm on property that my dad owns. He grows the cranberries and hay. We have a lot of wetland. It's kind of this great eco-tone. We've got a lot of meadows, wetland, forest, whatnot. And my wife and I run Old Earth Orchards, which has a bunch of different types of tree fruit and way too many different varieties of a lot of stuff. I didn't intend for it to be planted in the way that Mike was talking about of an orchard designed to experiment and fail, but I think that's what it did. And we also raise pigs and asparagus and pick your own strawberries as well.
I'm Mark Cote, Orland, Maine. I have a small mixed fruit orchard, about 50 apple trees, I guess, non-commercial, just for me to mess with and learn from. And that's why I'm here.
Matt Kaminsky. I'm from about half an hour away from here in the valley floor in the Connecticut River Valley, Hadley and Sunderland. With preservation orchards where I spend most of my time. My big projects these days are with my partner Rachel. We do meadow-fed lamb, silvopasture. We're developing silvopasture systems, grazing, intentional grazing for growing apples and pears, which are the two main crops at the orchard, as well as nut tree crops, similar to what Brian's growing. The other big project is organizing and putting on the wild and seedling pomological exhibition.
My name is Josh Karp. My wife and I run Cider Orchard in northern Vermont, about an hour from the Canadian border. So we got about 5 acres of standard apples and some smaller plantings of berries. And we're trying to, like some fools, we're trying to raise dessert fruit organically, but anyway. And we sell probably half the crop we can sell to at farmers markets fresh, and the rest we process because for obvious reasons. We sell a lot of cider, sweet cider. We make pasteurized juices from the apples and berries, and also a lot of cider vinegar.
Seth Jones, East Hollow Cider, about an hour due west of here, right over the mountain into New York State. Mike grows cidery and orchard. I've been growing trees there for about 22 years. And I just wanted to jump on what Steve said, because the other day I was in my orchard pruning, and I realized this tree that I had top worked. I walked around it and looked at all the top working, and all 4 of the top works were from other cider makers and friends. And it was just, I just stood in the orchard thinking, this is the coolest fucking thing. It was from Fabio, it was from Matt, it was from, who else was it? John Reynolds out at Black Duck, and one more will come to me when I stop talking. Also, I just wanted to say, over in the corner, I have put some books that were gifted to me by a grower, some of which are, I think, American Cider's in there, some of which are kind of normal, some really good ones. Lee Calhoun's Old Southern Apples, there's 3 copies of it, long out of print. They're free, please take them, but what I would ask is that you consider making a donation to Home in exchange. That's it.
My name is Jared Kane. I'm the executive director, head orchardist at Branch Hill Farm in Milton Mills, New Hampshire. We're a non-profit farm who are dedicated to conservation, stewardship, and education. I like to call myself a jack of all trades, master of none, because I dabble in everything from cider making, pruning, apple history, apple exploring. I'm just here to soak in as much knowledge as possible.
I'm CJ Walk. I live in Swanville, Maine, which is mid-coast area near Belfast. I work for MOFGA, Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association, and help take care of their orchards, including the Maine Heritage Orchard, which has been mentioned a few times already by others who have also built.
Peter Tischler from northernmost New Jersey. Just planted my 3rd and hopefully last orchard. My last one was 1,000 trees bearing on my friend's farm, and we split, kept the friendship, and split the orchard, which is a hard thing to do. The new orchard's about 1,400 trees, about 40% stone fruit, about 350 pears, Asian pears. Did a hopefully real interesting experiment and planted the apples in 4 blocks. Everything from 111, Bud 9 and Bud 10, 935 and 890, and going to see how they all grow organically. And putting about 3 acres of berries in to build some resilience on the farm. Grow about 4 or 5 acres of vegetables. Breaks money in now, and pay for all this. I roast peanuts for M&M Corporation. Sleep is overrated.
I'm Keegan Schong. My wife Alison and I have Shaker Creek Farm just east of Albany, New York. We raise poultry on pasture in silo pasture grazing setups. There we're focusing on cider apples and chestnuts outside of the poultry. And then during the week, I run the orchard and the perennial food program at Rigger Hill Farm in Chatham, New York, where we are at the whim and mercy of a Michelin star restaurant in the city. And there we're expanding from 2 to 7 acres of tree crops.
I'm Ellie Vaughn. I own and operate Phoenix Fruit Farm in Belchertown, which is near Amherst, so not too far from here. Started that in 2017 after I bought it from Atkins, and I've been zero spray for, this is my 4th season. And now that my crop is hideous, I've started doing hard cider. Well, I've been making hard cider as a hobby for like 15 years, but now I'm making my first foray into commercial hard cider making. Because it turns out that ugly fruit makes really good cider. I brought some cider to taste today, but it's like not really done fermenting, but it's like at 0.005. So I was like, I'll just pull out a case of it, and so it's good, but it's going to be different in November. So try it now, and then try it again in the fall, and we can all see how it develops.
Yeah. My name is Eliza Greenman. I live in Leavittsville, Virginia, which is Northern Virginia, right on the Maryland border. And I work for the Savannah Institute, which is an agroforestry nonprofit, and the tagline I adopt is trees on farms on purpose. And so that encompasses a lot of orchards as well. So if you're ever thinking that you're not part of agroforestry, you're wrong. But my job there is I call myself the tree crops hype girl, which is ultimately what I do. I end up on a lot of Zooms, all sorts of things. But I also helped start a tree crop improvement program there, where we have hired PhD level tree plant breeders, like for real plant breeders, to come in and do cool shit on chestnuts, hazelnuts, American persimmon, blackcurrant, elderberry. There's some hybrid pear, some mulberry, and then there's probably some stuff I'm forgetting right now. But
any hickory nuts?
And no hickory nuts, but we're hickory adjacent. And then in Virginia, like kind of associated and kind of Atkins fans too, because how do you pry apart your life? I used to grow more apples than I do now. Now I am really into the invasives because if you can't kill them, join them. So that means mulberry. I am really into Bradford pear, using Bradford pear genetics to explore ciders, and that's getting very exciting. I brought some Perry for people to try. That's from a single varietal that I have. That, oh my God, I'm excited about it. And then American persimmon is also, which isn't invasive, but it's pesky, so people don't like it. So that's what grows well where I am, and so that's what I'm focusing on, and sort of heading away from apples, but they're still there, so I see them.
Yeah, sorry, I'm awkwardly in the middle. I thought we were starting this in the middle thing, and then everyone else disappeared. I might move to that chair, but I'm Amy Miller. I'm from East Central Ohio. Really happy to be here for the first time. I am more known as a chestnut grower. I manage Route 9 Cooperative in Carrollton, Ohio. But I have a parallel life, really into apples. I've spent a lot of time as an apple researcher, fruit explorer. I have a low spray, no spray orchard that is kind of one of the designed to fail type of orchards that, although I think it's designed to be revolutionary, not designed to fail. Yes. Yeah, and actually I come from a family of apple growers. I'm a 6th generation apple grower, and so I'm very committed to changing the narrative. Everyone before me were very conventional growers, so I'm ready to do something different.
Oh yeah. Great, thanks y'all. I'll just read through the agenda things and let you know how many tallies are on there, and if you think I missed your tally, then you just let me know. No spray, we got 5, that's like one of the biggest ones. Polyculture, we got 4 votes. Soil health, 4 votes. Fire blight, 3 votes. Crabs, 3. Tree paste, 1. Nitrogen fixers.
1 to the crabs for me too, since you're at it.
Okay, crabs got 4. Tree paste, 2.
Go crabs.
Nitrogen fixers, 2. Spray regimens, 3. USDA germplasms, 2. small scale growers, 1, younger growers without land, 2, brown rot stone fruit, 3, climate resistance, 5, Marsanina, 2, bacteria leaf spot, 1, crop insurance, 1, apple pretzels and like other de-invigorating pruning practices, 2, rootstock, 2.
Add one for the pretzels.
What's up?
One more for pretzels.
One more for pretzels.
I'll have a pretzel.
Okay.
I'd like to add 3 more to no spray, please.
Are you said no spray? Everyone else said no spray.
I want to go for all of them. Because
And don't forget the
mustard with the pretzel.
Yeah. Alternate economies, 1. Did I miss anything? Crafts? Oh, okay, cool.
Well, there you have it. Now there are 40 more people that perhaps you didn't know about, but now you do, and you have these resources to lean on. The Holistic Orchard Network's doing some really fine work, as I know you are too, out in your special spot of Ciderville. And it's all about sharing the wealth of knowledge, and most importantly, at this time in 2025, staying in touch. I have one extra bonus clip here from Nancy and Gracie Phillips. They're going to be talking about where they're located and some of their upcoming orchard workshops, one that's taking place right now, but you could still get involved. So let's roll to that clip next.
Nancy Phillips.
My name's Gracie Phillips.
And you are part of what farm?
Heartsong Farm and Lost Nation Orchard.
And that is a name that a lot of people should be familiar with who has any interest at all in orcharding. It's because of Michael Phillips, who is your
late husband. Yeah, Michael's well known in the apple field because of his work just coordinating and getting people together to learn about apples, but also as an author of The Apple Grower and The Holistic Orchard, and then Michael Riesel Planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're an herbalist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael and I wrote a book together called The Herbalist Way.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of blend some of what we learned about medicinal herbs with the apples, and we still do that on the farm.
Yeah, very special. So it's actually an honor for me to meet both of you because it's a legacy that he has left, and you are continuing on. So why don't we share with listeners out there in Ciderville a bit about what you're doing now? We are talking in 2025. So what are you looking forward to with the year ahead?
Yes, well, we are continuing being a working farm, and we sell apples and cider and products, but we particularly like to keep the farm as an educational center, and we're offering 2 major orchard programs this year. One of them is an 8-month program where people come. We call it the Holistic Orchard Apprenticeship, which I love because my herbal training was through apprenticeship, where we came every month and have met with the same group, and you build a lot of camaraderie. You learn from each other as well as the teachers. And people come one Friday a month, and we bring in guest teachers each time to teach different, like the first week is pruning and just an introduction to holistic orcharding, and then we'll do grafting and talk about how to use Michael's holistic spray protocols and just weaving biodiversity into the orchard. And
we found it really helpful to have a course set up like this. Like Mom said, like an herbal course that we teach, we structure a similar way. So people come at the beginning of the season, and what does the orchard look like then? What kind of care and support does it need? And then it kind of walks you through the season. And we found that just when we maybe were starting to get overwhelmed, we get this great boost of a group of people coming, spending time in the orchard, really getting out there and looking at what is going on and what needs to be addressed right now in the year. And that was, really helpful and a lot of fun.
And the teachers are all really experienced, and they have their own passions and really their own niches of how they do their orchard work. And there's a little bit of lecture usually, but then a good part of the class we're outside doing things in the orchard, right, hands-on.
Yeah. So that sounds like that might be starting sooner than later.
It starts March 14th, but we are going to open it up at least into April. If some folks are still interested in joining, we'll try to get a bit of a recording, make sure you get any notes, and
The first
yeah, and some people can join a little bit later as well.
Yes, and then in June we have a weekend that just stands alone. We call it. Michael used to teach it, and it was almost like an Apple boot camp for the weekend. And we call it the Apple Intensive. And actually, Mike Biltonen is teaching that this year. So he'll kind of take people through the season, but it'll be a little bit more intense because it's all one weekend, but it makes it more accessible for some people if they can just get away for only so long.
Fantastic. Do you have the weekend in June?
Yeah, it's going to be June 14th and 15th.
June 14th
And we're really grateful to have Mike come. He's a wonderful teacher and very aligned with my dad's philosophy and how he views working with the orchard and the collective ecosystem that's the farm. And yeah, it's a really special weekend as well. We make time to try some cider and have meals together and build community and a bit of a network of like-minded folks as well, which I think is a really powerful piece of it. Our website is heartsongfarmwellness.com and heartsongfarmwellness@gmail email. We're also on Facebook and Instagram for that's worth.
What's the Instagram?
Heartsong Farm NH, and Heartsong Farm on Facebook. And we do try to share some farm updates and info about what classes are coming up and things like that and how the orchard's doing throughout the year.
Perfect. And where in New Hampshire are you located?
So we're almost 40 miles from Canada, north central, between Lancaster and Groveton, New Hampshire.
Coos County, up north,
And it's a beautiful area in the White Mountains, and our farm sits down in a little valley, and it's a really peaceful place on the planet. So that's part of the fun to come.
And some beautiful hiking and some other nice things happening in our little area as well.
What's the town name exactly, though?
Northumberland, New Hampshire.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, okay, well, we'll make sure I'll have those links in the show notes and keep on reminding people out there to check out Northumberland and the two of you and learn some amazing skills because you've been doing this for a long time. It's not your first rodeo.
No, it isn't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rhea, and thanks for the good work you're doing out there in the world.
My pleasure. In the show notes for this here episode 451 of Cider Chat, you could see a photo of both Gracie and Nancy Phillips. And it's really worth it. They are such a dynamic duo, and what an amazing thing. You know, it's one of the topics that I keep on hearing from folks. They want orchard information, and this is like going to the center of the hub at Heart Song Farm and Lost Nation Orchard. I just love it. You could feel it, too. They're really, really beautiful people. I can't say enough about them, but, you know, that's the way it rolls in Ciderville. Which leads me to me rolling out of here next. Thanks for tuning in and kicking off season 10 of Cider Chat. Absolutely remarkable, and I couldn't do it without all of you out there. So best wishes to you all, and with that, I leave you here. This is Real Wind Caller signing off for now. Looking forward to seeing you in Ciderville.
Apples, bitter sharp, strange apples, juicy ripe. Bop, 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 ba-da-doo-doo-dop, bop, 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 ba-da-doo-doo-dop. Who wants a tannenbaum?
I want a tannenbaum.
Who wants to pull them down?
I'm gonna pull them down. Hey, 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 apples,
bittersweet, strange apples, hanging high. Got them strange apples. Forget the pie. Strange apples. Squeeze them tight. Got them strange apples. Strange apples. Strange apples. Make them pop. Pop, pop.
bomb?
I want a Tannenbaum.
Who wants to pull them down?
I'm gonna pull them down. Hey, 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 apples.
Come and see plenty strange apples for you and me. Strange apples. Strange apples. Strange apples. Make them pop. Pop, pop, pop. Ba-da-doo-doo-da. Pop, pop, pop. Ba-da-doo-doo-da. Pop, pop, pop. Ba-da-doo-doo-da. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, 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 pop.